What's doing, everybody? I'm Alec. Thank you for watching First Class Fatherhood. Today's guest on the podcast is legendary weatherman Al Roker. Al Roker has one of the most recognizable faces on TV. He's been in the forecasting game for nearly 50 years. You've seen him hosting the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade on NBC for many years. He's also a New York Times bestselling author. He's got a new book dropping July 28th titled You Look So Much Better in Person. The link to the pre-order of the book is down there in the description below. It's a big honor for me to have him on the podcast today, so smack that subscribe button, tap the like, and let's jump into it right now with legendary weather forecaster Al Roker on First Class Fatherhood. Joining me now, First Class Father Al Roker. Welcome to First Class Fatherhood.
Well, thank you very much. Good to be here.
All right, let's start it like this. How many kids do you have, and how old are they?
I've got 3 kids, 33, almost 22, and almost 18.
Wow, okay. Yeah. What type of sports or activities were they into growing up?
Well, my oldest wasn't that sports oriented. My middle girl played, intramural sports. My son is, he likes, he swims, plays basketball. But we weren't. I'm not horribly athletic. I'm not that great an athlete. So I probably their mother is a much better athlete than I am.
All right. Well, Al, if you could, maybe for the 1 or 2 people who don't know, if you could just hit my listeners with a little bit about your background and what you do.
My background is I'm a television weatherman. I've been in the business for almost 50 years. The last 40 working for NBC, and the last, since 1995, been doing the Today Show, doing weather, feature reporting, co-hosting, getting to travel the world, see a lot of great events, including a number of Super Bowls and a number of Olympics since the Atlanta Olympics in 1996. It's been a good run.
Yeah, it's been incredible to watch your career over the years here, Al. And so along this journey, about how old were you then when you first became a dad, and how did becoming a father kind of change your perspective on life?
Well, I first became a dad, 33 years ago. So I was 33, and because I'm going to be 66 in August. And suddenly, your life changes because, you spend most of your adult life, it's all about you. Then you get married, and it's all about you and your wife. And then it changes completely. It's all about this person, protecting them and trying to keep them safe. And, it's one of those things that my dad always said to me, you never stop worrying about your kids, no matter how old they are. And it's true. My oldest girl is engaged, probably married within the next year. And it won't matter. I'll still be worried about her. And probably then a grandchild. And it's just so it goes down the road.
Yeah, well said. All right, so what were the top values that you hoped to instill in your kids when they were growing up?
Well, I think the same things my dad instilled in me, to try to be a good person, to try to treat others as you would have others treat you, to be fair, to work hard. My dad said, look, you're going to, and look, it's funny with everything that's going on right now and talk about race. And this wasn't, in his mind a negative. It just was, look, you're going to have to work twice as hard and be twice as good as the kid next to you to get half as far. And so I've got a very strong work ethic, and as do my kids. They're hard workers. And but I want them to treat people the way they want to be treated. And this whole notion of not seeing, people. I raised my kids to be colorblind. No, I don't think that's right. I think it's all right to see color, but to treat people that the color doesn't matter. That you treat people equally and you treat them fairly, because that's part of who we are. It's part of our DNA, part of our culture, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more, Al. And I think that the important thing is that fathers are teaching those lessons to their kids. And I know right now in our country, we got a fatherless crisis going on. We have so many kids that are growing up or being raised without a dad in their life or a father figure in their home. And that's been creating some devastating results in our society as well. And I think those messages of treat others the way you want to be treated, a lot of that comes and starts in the home, in the family. So I think if we could tighten up a lot of our family units, I think we'd see a lot of these problems start to go away.
Well, look, I'm going to tell you, I know a number of single parent households, and look, it's hard. It's hard for those people, whether it's a man or a woman. But I think there are a lot of people doing really good work, and then there are father figures within that community, whether it's somebody at school or it's somebody at church or something like that. I think that's because, listen, just because biologically you had a child, that doesn't necessarily make you a father.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more there, Alan. I know there's many, many stepdads, other dad role models that stepped up to the plate and have made a major impact on so many kids' lives. And I know discipline is one thing that's important too. What type of disciplinarian are you as a father, and is it different than the discipline style that you grew up with?
Well, look, it was a different time. My dad, it's funny. We joke, my sisters and brothers and I, that dad was, he was tough. He maybe whipped that belt off. But I think in my entire childhood, I maybe got a spanking with the belt twice. It was more the threat, you know, and we parent a little differently now. But I think that I don't think there's anything wrong with a little fear. I think there's nothing wrong with respecting your being respected as a parent, and your kid being a little afraid of you too. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, I agree with you there, Al. Yeah, my father was 50 years old when he had me. He was born in 1930, so his style of discipline was much different than mine. I have four kids myself, and it's far different than the way I discipline my own kids. And I know that you have. I recently had a Sean Stockman on here from Boys to Men. He has a son with autism. I know you have a son with special needs as well. When did you first realize that your son was special needs, and what kind of advice do you have for other parents out there that are just finding out their kids are special needs?
Well, listen, it was one of those things that happened. We realized it fairly early on, 3 years old. But I think the only message, and listen, every case is different. But I would say don't put limits on your kids, because you don't know how far they will go. I mean, we didn't at 3 years old. Our son hadn't walked or talked, and he's almost 18 now. He has a black belt in Taekwondo. He's won a couple of gold medals in swimming at the Special Olympics. He's on a regular needs kids basketball team with the Y. He's a sophomore in high school. He's making plans. He wants to go away to college. So, and again, every kid's situation is different. But I don't think, and I don't want to be insensitive. I think you can do them a disservice by not giving them every opportunity. And I know most of the parents do, and it's difficult. It's tough. It's a tough road to hoe, but it's worth it.
Yeah, well said. And I know you mentioned there that you have a daughter that's engaged here. My youngest is my only girl. She's only 5 now, and I'm already dreading those years down the line when she starts dating. How did you handle the dating scene when it came to your kids, especially with your daughter here?
Well, I think you've got to let them, unless they're dating somebody that's physically or emotionally abusive. I think you kind of have to let it go, because you may think they're a jerk, and when you express that, I think it draws them closer. So you kind of have to let the relationship take its course, and in due time, you hope that they realize that the guy was a jerk, and in fact, my daughter was involved with one, and eventually let it go, and now she's with a really terrific guy, and they're engaged. And it's not easy. You bite your tongue, but it's like, okay, here you go. Good luck.
Yeah, good stuff. All right, well, you got the new book coming out. You look so much better in person, July 28th. What was the genesis of the book? What's it all about?
Well, the book is basically my career advice, if you will, that maybe you use personally. It's not a how-to. It's not a what you should do. This is what's happened to me. Use it, don't use it. I think you'll have a laugh reading it. And the title came from every day when I go out to the Today Show Plaza, pre-COVID pandemic. I shake hands with people, and at least one person would say, "Oh my gosh, you look so much better in person." And all right, well, I know you mean that as a compliment, but I'm on TV, so that really isn't much of a compliment. But it came from a good place. But I always chuckle at it, so I've decided to make it the name of the book.
Yeah, I'm excited to read that here, Al. And I wanted to ask you. You mentioned there the pandemic. What has been the biggest change for you? I mean, you've been doing this media career for your entire life here. What's been the biggest changes or shifts for you during this whole pandemic that you've had to adapt to?
Um, it wasn't so much adapting as it is. I haven't had to travel. I'm going on more than 3 months now, and this is probably the longest period of time in my Today Show career that I have not traveled. And the upside to that has been a lot of time with my son and my wife. Um, the kids, my girls are out of the house. Obviously, my one girl is in college in Paris, and so she's not home. But it's been nice to have this uninterrupted time, just to be, not running for a plane, not getting in a car, just hanging out. I'm looking right now in my backyard. I got a garden growing right now. I just haven't had time to do that. It's been really, really good.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the things, Al, as we move forward here, we get way beyond the pandemic and we look back, we'll miss that time that we did have where everything kind of slowed down and we had a chance to spend so much more time with the people that we do love and why we do all the things that we do once we get back to the hustle bustle of the real
Although
world.
I do think that I think we will question a lot of things now. Do we really need, with Zoom and Skype, and do we really need to get on that plane and travel for 2, 3 hours for an hour, 2 hour meeting? Do we need to, how much are we going to maybe pull back and say, you know what, I can do this. I can be as efficient. I mean, the number of places and people who have found out that they don't have to go, they can do from home. Look, I don't know how long NBC will let me do this, but I think there's I think people are going to be a lot more questioning of their time and how they spend it.
Yeah, there's no doubt many changes will be coming as a result of what's going on here in 2020. And what about Al? What kind of advice do you have for the parents out there that have kids that are interested in a TV media career? What kind of advice would you give those parents how to steer the kids?
I tell them to keep them away as much as possible. it's, Look, it's a different world than when I was coming up. You went to school for communicate. Well, I'm so old. It was called radio and TV. Now it's communications. But the media landscape has changed. You don't have to be on TV. You can be on this or any number of platforms. But I still tell people that I think and when I speak to students, I think your best bet is getting a good, rounded education to be curious, to read. I mean, not just online. Read books, read newspapers, and find different points of view to try to be as well-rounded an individual as possible. Because if you don't go into this business, you still got to live. You still have to create. You still have to be part of this world. It's same thing I would tell any basketball player, football player, soccer athlete in high school. Odds are you're not going to be a pro athlete, but you are going to be a human being, and you've got to be part of this world.
Yeah, good stuff, Al. And listen, you've had such a successful career here. You've been doing it for many years. I know you got the book dropping here July 28th. What kind of goals or plans do you have here for yourself for the future? What's next for you?
You know what? I've always been amused by people who have these 5-year plans. I'm going to be doing this. And who knows? I don't have plans because I think if you're too structured, you cut yourself off from opportunities. So just be open. Just look ahead. Don't do stupid stuff, but just be open to whatever's going to happen. I never planned to be on TV. I was going to work in TV. I was going to be a writer or a producer. And a college professor of mine put me up for a job doing weekend weather in my sophomore year. If I'd said no, what would I be doing today? I don't know. But I think that the goal is to be open, to be don't plan. Goals are good, plans are bad.
Yeah, right on with that, Alan. Last thing I want to hit you with here, I love to ask all the dads that I get on the podcast, what type of advice do you have for the new dad or for that about to be father who's out there listening?
Um, just you just know that you're going to make mistakes. That's just part of being a parent, mom or dad. But I think, and again, it goes sort of to my last point. Just be open to constructive criticism. I think early on maybe I made a mistake of being a little too rigid, and I think it's funny. I looked at my parents. My baby brother is more than 17 years younger than me. Same parents. There are six of us. Three of us biological, three of us adopted. And I looked at my parents. By the time my baby brother was a teenager, my sister and I would look and go, who are our parents? They're letting this kid get away with murder. He's doing all this stuff. What the heck? And finally, I said, who are you people? And he said, we're tired. We just realized we don't need to be as tough. It's all good. You guys are fine. And I think that's part of it. If you put your heart and soul into them and you treat them well, they're going to turn out okay. I mean, there's, I guess, exceptions to every rule. But for a new parent, and especially a new dad, just be there. And you know what? Your wife may give you a hard time about wanting to dress the kids or pick out nursery furniture. Just go ahead. But it drives my wife crazy. I would buy stuff for my girls. She says, what dad wants to go shopping at Hannah Anderson or J. Crew Kids for his daughter's dresses? I liked it, and I think there should be no roles. You're just a parent, and just go from there.
Yeah, very well said. I love the message. This has been an honor for me. I got to say, Al Roker, you're a first-class father all the way, and thank you so much for giving me a few minutes of your time here on First Class Fatherhood.
You got to do it. Thank you.